Guys, it was a good run,
We thought we had them.
but we're here to tell you, craft beer lost the battle. Glub, 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 glub. Yeah, guys, we're here to tell you that the game is over. The game has been decided. Pack up the troops, ship them back home.
Don't tell me this because I'm starting one of these.
Yeah, bad news for you. But good news for you as well. Here's the scoop. Craft beer is dead. As an industry, craft beer is over.
I don't believe that's true at all. Craft beer keeps coming out with new awesome beers every single day. They come out with these things that people line up for hours for. Mm-hmm. They have the whatever percent share of the market now that they've never had before. Mm-hmm. And people are spending more money on beer now than they probably ever have in their life.
Just for an example, and we'll be reviewing this shortly, this is a beer from New Belgium.
Yeah, love New Belgium.
You will never have another New Belgium. You will never have another Bell's. You will never have another Stone. You will never have another...
You're talking the big nationwide breweries.
I'm talking the money-making industry of craft beer is dead. It's been lost. It's over. Who won it? Big Beer won it.
I heard that New Belgium's actually struggling now that they've gone global, or at least nationwide.
I read that same article.
Because, you know, for a while there, and we talked about it in our last show, when Fat Tire wasn't in Ohio, people were crazy about Fat Tire. It's the drink of Walter White.
That's right. That's right.
But now that it's here, when was the last time you ordered a Fat Tire?
Literally, like the day, like the release party for New Belgium.
Yeah. And so while they might have this niche of, hey, we know what people love, it's Fat Tire Nation, they go to a new state, people drink up Fat Tire for a couple months, and then...
Well, so here's my point. Big Beer has been buying up smaller independent breweries left and right. I mean, at what is AB InBev's
high-end brand?
Yeah, the high-end brand, which is all their craft beers that they've scooped up. Now, if you listen to our cheap plug, if you listen to our podcast, the Brew Crew on Tap, you will note that in one of our very first episodes, we talked about why selling out to AB InBev or any of the big guys is actually a good thing for that brewery.
Right. And not for craft beer in general, but for those specific people who are selling out, it's a game changer.
And we're all for it. Like, that's business. That's what you go into business for. Like that when you opened your business, you probably had that part of you that was like, I'm an artist. This is my palate. I want to make amazing craft beer. But also, you wanted to make money.
Yeah.
Or else you wouldn't have gone into business. Like, you wouldn't have taken the risk if you didn't think that you could turn a profit. So it's a business. And for those breweries who sell out, good for you. I would do the same thing.
Good for you. Everyone's going to hate you. You know this, right?
Then you are lying to yourself. And the only people who are privileged enough to not have to sell out are Stone, Bell's, blah, blah, blah. So, like, today I read an article where Greg Cook from Stone said, Big Beer is evil. Well, Greg Cook, you have the biggest craft brewery, like, in the world. So, you're literally international. You're in Germany.
It's like Sam Adams, Stone.
You have the privilege of saying that. Like, you don't have to worry about Big Beer. Of course Stone will never sell out. Why the hell would you?
Right.
You're on if you go to any bar, Stone is sitting right next to the AB InBev stuff. Like, you're practically the macro everywhere. Beer of craft beer.
Right. And even people who have sold out, like Goose Island, you'd think that would, like, stop people from ever trying another Goose Island beer. They still line up around the block for BCBS releases. Yeah. So it's not even an issue because we all know that if you sell out, you're still going to sell beer. You're actually going to sell more beer.
Yeah. And like I said, the artisanal aspect of craft beer, alive and well. People are coming out with all kinds of funky stuff all the time, which is great. We love that as beer drinkers. But as an industry, it's already been decided. Big Beer has won. If you'd like proof of this, go to any big box chain grocery store, right? So look, if you're watching this show, you're probably a craft beer enthusiast. You probably like craft beer, kind of like Corey and I.
Yeah.
You know that there are bottle shops to go to where you can find that the true craft beer.
Right.
Let's look at the rest of America who might know brands like Goose Island or Leinenkugel or maybe Stone. You can get those at Kroger. You can get those at Walmart. You can get those at Meijer and Giant Eagle and things like that. You can get those big breweries. You can get New Belgium. But can you get, shameless plug, Twin Oaks Brewing?
Soon.
Can you get those at Kroger, Meijer, Giant Eagle? Of course not, because they only have this much shelf space.
Yeah.
Who gets it? The big guys. So when I went to Walmart of all places, here are your choices, right? You have your Labatt's, your Buds, your Michelob's, your all that stuff. Then you get into the Sam Adams, no problem. You get into your New Belgium, no problem. And then you get your Elysian and your Wicked Weed. And you're like, ooh, this is craft beer. And it is. And it is craft beer.
The people who are making it are still the same brewers making the same beer that they are passionate about 100%. But now they have more area to distribute and they have financial benefits, which I'll talk about later.
So if you are a truly independent craft beer, which is the topic of another show of ours about that seal they just came out with, you're not going to get on shelves. You're not going to get on taps in bars. You're just not. And so you are going to rely on what I would call Prohibition era brewery, which
is what I want to do.
Which Corey, I feel like is what you're going to do.
Yes, which is probably another show anyway. But still, the idea is that you're not going to be buying a ton of shelf space all across the nation because there's only this much shelf space. What you're going to do is you're going to want to try and invite people to your brewery. Again, talk about that later. But that's what every small place had their own pub before Prohibition. And that's what we're kind of getting back to. So when this bubble bursts, guess who's going to survive? Cockroaches. And Budweiser bought breweries. Miller Coors bought breweries. Sam Adams is going to survive. Good luck becoming Sam Adams. It's not happening.
And New Belgium can say, we'll never sell out. Well, you don't have to. They're employee owned, which helps, but they're huge. Yeah. And I mean, in Colorado, next to Coors, they're the biggest brewery in the state. And so, as a casual beer drinker, you might not care, right? So what? Do I get more access to Wicked Weed? Oh no! Don't buy them up, because I would like more Wicked Weed in my life.
Who doesn't?
And so, like we said before, good on you, Wicked Weed. Like we would do the same thing.
Maybe.
When you go to the store, your choices have been effectively cut out from under you. You've got 5 choices at your disposal, unless you're going to a bottle shop. Yes. I'm talking for the masses. Craft beer, it's over. There is no more upward growth for breweries except to revert back to being your hometown's most kick-ass brewery.
Right, which might have to happen to New Belgium if their sales don't start to get a little bit better. And speaking of, let's take a tea. Let's get into this beer.
I don't know that to date I've had a bad New Belgium beer.
There are none. There are none. When I drink this beer, I actually get a lot more of those West Coasty kind of flavors, like the cattiness and the pine, and a little. You get a little tropical flavor, but it's made with Citro and Amarillo, which I thought would be very lemony, very citric, and a little bit of the tropical pineapple. Not so much. I get more of those West Coast style.
Yeah, I definitely get some very vegetal hop profile, a lot of green aroma, sort of like that wet after a rain kind of greenness to it.
Love it.
It smells phenomenal. Yeah, there is definitely some of that cattiness to the aroma. I haven't even dived in yet, or dove in. I haven't dove in, but it is an amazing smelling beer.
It's very reminiscent to that the Bell's Two Hearted we just had. I mean, not quite the same, but it's the same kind of profile where it's not super bitter, but it's bitter, and then it has a little bit of the hop showcase going on.
Do you not get that initial swallow, that first hit? do you not get like some Nelson? Like
Yeah.
some oniony, chivy.
Exactly.
And it's been a while since we've had a beer
I didn't
like
want to say it because I always get yelled at for it, but
maybe it's not Nelson specifically, but it definitely has that oniony.
Yeah, Citra can have that, and people, they don't get it. You don't get it. It's like some people think cilantro tastes like soap. I think Nelson and Citra can taste a little bit like onions and garlic. It happens.
Guys, make sure you stay till the end of the video to get our final overall score of the Voodoo IPA Ranger. To come down from the clickbaity cliff I was on, I will say that craft beer as an art form and as a user experience is alive and well.
Yes.
Right? Like from a drinker's perspective, there are so many great things continuing to evolve in craft beer that I don't think that bubble's bursting at all. But I do think the nature of the game has significantly changed in a very short amount of time to where the industry is truly, like, the competition is dead. It's over.
And I think people have kind of realized this, and I think as a consumer, I kind of even like that style better where you're really catering to your audience, your small town audience. You look at places like New Glarus, who is never going to get outside of Wisconsin. You don't know how happy that makes me because that means that they're selling the highest quality they can without worrying about distribution numbers and putting it into the best product possible. You look at the Alchemist. They're probably never going to get outside of Vermont. Thank you. And I don't blame them because they're making the best beer they possibly can. And if that's what's going to happen, that's fine. I don't need a bunch of beers in the marketplace flooding us with mediocrity and bad first impressions for people who have never had a craft beer.
And I just think, like, as a drinker, like, I think it's fun that you have to basically go to Decorah, Iowa to get Pseudo Soup.
Yeah,
like,
it's so
I
much
feel
fun.
like you have to go to these places to get. You want to try Pliny the Younger? You have to go, or is it the Elder? I don't know. Pliny, whatever.
It's younger.
You gotta go to Russian River to
Right.
get it. Like, I just think that's kind of cool that there's these sort of destination beers. And while I think it's going to change the way we buy beer.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like at the store. Like I used to be like, I'm going to get one of everything I've never had before. But I had a bottle shop that sort of allowed me to do that. Now I go to a grocery store. I'm like, what's the best thing I know I'm going to like that I can have in my fridge and grab? So the process of buying beer has changed. But I think like beer tourism is like ready to blow up.
And what I think people don't realize is that a good beer is not necessarily about the beer, but about the story. I mean, you can have a really solid beer, but like you said, going to Decorah, Iowa to pick up a Pseudo Sue, which tastes very similar to a Surly Citra Max. Those two are similar beers to me, but a Pseudo Sue, I had to go into the rolling hills of Iowa, and it was like in the middle of nowhere, and I loved that beer more than when I went and picked it up at the corner of the store. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a story. It's something that you're going to tell. You're not going to be able to grow these massive market beers anymore, but that's not really a bad thing. It's really going to condense craft beer into what it should be, which is high artisan, high craft, high delicious quality factors, and you're going to go down to your local brew pub and get the best beer you possibly can.
With that being said, Corey, do you have a score for the Voodoo IPA, the Voodoo Ranger IPA?
I'm going to go with a 95. It's so weird to give a score after kind of tearing them down, but wow, is this a good beer? I mean, in terms of just the West Coast style that they're doing, 95 is a great beer. It's a great score for this beer. They're doing really good things with this Voodoo series. I want to see it keep going.
Yeah, I think if you like this hop profile, you're really going to like this beer. That initial swallow of the onion chiviness, I'm not loving. It's really good, but that's throwing me off a little bit. So I'm going to go a little bit lower than you. You went 95. I'm going to go like 92. Give it like a B+. So you're giving it like an A+. I'm giving it like a B+. Still obviously very
solid
good.
A.
Yeah, solid A as an average. Really good beer. Good conversation. Yes. Guys, we would love to hear what you have to say about this. But until we do, always remember,
we're the Brew Review crew,
and we'll review.
Brew for you.
Cheers.
Cheers. There's nothing left. It was so good.
Guys, if you like this format where we're having just craft beer conversation over some good craft beer, then you would probably love our podcast.
Yes, the Brew Review Crew on Tap is basically us sitting at a bar drinking beer talking about news. I mean, it's everything you've ever wanted out of the Brew Review Crew. Join us in the conversation. Go to iTunes and go search for the Brew Review Crew on Tap podcast. Subscribe, and we'll see you next time.